What are you looking for in an earphone? Really, ask yourself, what am I looking for? Because it might not even be the sound that's the most important. I know some people who use their IEMs for 8 hours a day and what they prioritize the most is the fit and the comfort. Then there are people who just want to try something different. Maybe they don't even like the sound, but hey, they just want to experience, more variety. So they just buy whatever really, guilty. And then the opposite of those people would be the ones who like or prefer one type of sound, like Harman for example, and maybe they just want a nicer design or packaging on top of everything else. So my point is there are a lot of levels of priority that you should figure out first, or else you're just going to be stuck mindlessly browsing on Linso, Hi-Fi Go, Shenzhen Audio. You're going to get baited by pretty much every sale. Been there, done that, not fun. And speaking of sales, guys, you don't need an IEM just because it's like 30%, 50% off. That most likely wasn't part of your original plan. Like, I get it. When you see a good deal, the curiosity kicks in and you start to justify. You're like, oh, maybe it sounds really good. And oh, it's only $200 now. Maybe I should get it. No, stick to the plan. What I like to do is figure out why I'm interested in an IEM and then, look for that characteristic within my budget. So I'm not doom scrolling just to realize the next day I just bought like $12, $20 IEMs or something like that. For example, if you come in knowing you want a good gaming IEM and you don't really care too much for the tuning or the sound, then just grab the EM6L and be done with it. Stop scrolling, you really don't need anything else. Save that time on improving your skill, aka get good. On the other hand, if you're looking for a specific type of sound, go check out the upgrade guide or ranking list first, but don't get caught up in the technicalities. Oh, people say this one's a little bit better in the tech, so maybe I should get this, but it's $50 more in the price. Like, is it worth it? When it comes down to it, the differences between the sets in a specific price range, like let's say around $200, will not matter that much when it comes to tech. For example, the Chopin, Nova, CKLVX are all similar tech-wise, all within under $200. Yeah, some are slightly better than the others, but the difference isn't huge, even if you A/B them, which you won't be doing since you're most likely not going to buy all of them, right? The technical difference within, let's say, $200 is probably 5 to 10% at best. So instead, focus on the tuning difference because that's where it makes or breaks your decision. I remember when I first started, I would try to find the IEM with the best tech, in the price range. I would look at all these different reviews, different ranking lists, try to like compare them side by side, and then, buy it eventually, but then later come to regret it because, I just didn't vibe with the sound. For example, the Moondrop Variations is a very good example of this. Probably the best for your money, best value IEM when it first came out, like tech-wise. I bought it because raging reviews, amazing reviews, everyone was praising it. But then when I heard the mid-bass, or the lack of, that pretty much killed all my enjoyment for the Variations, along with some like other upper mid stuff, but I end up having to return them. So unless you're jumping from $20 to $20, $500 or something like that, just go with the one with the better tonality that fits the sound you're looking for. In my opinion, always prioritize the tonality, or the sound over the technical performance, because most people are here to search for an IEM that matches their specific type of sound they have in their mind. So if you buy something that doesn't match that idea or tuning, then you're going to be very disappointed, even though the tech, could be good. Also, please don't blind buy an IEM just because a reviewer or even your friend says it's good. Go look at different reviews, look at the graph, because there will always be some preference involved, and avoid the reviewers that only give positive reviews, or they're always shelling something, or don't even review other IEMs at all. You also need to take the marketing material of the products with a huge grain of salt, learn the hard way. The vast majority of the time, it's just hype and misleading flowery language, very confusing at times, like the Singolo for example, and be extra careful of the ones that have revolutionary or legendary in their product description. But before we move forward, this video is sponsored by you guys. As many of you guys know, I buy most of my stuff. Sometimes I get some stuff sent in, which is nice, but I do not have all the money in the world. I don't have an infinite money glitch. So if you'd like to help me out and stay, unbiased as much as possible, then feel free to join my channel membership. They're only $5 a month and I do giveaways there, so go check that out. But back to the video. Many of the brands use the same drivers and manufacturers or a previous technology. I'm not saying there can't be any technological improvements. I would love for that to happen, but just be very careful, or else you're gonna end up wasting your money on the single like me because some Asian dude in glasses told you they're revolutionary. On the other hand, maybe you're new and don't know what type of sound you prefer, which is fine, it's very common. Then in that case, I recommend changing your strategy coming into this. Instead of buying a single expensive IEM, try a bunch of cheaper IEMs instead, with drastically different tonality, good or bad, and then in the future invest in a more expensive one later, so you actually know for sure what you like and what you don't before really buying a nice one. Again, go check out the upgrade guide for more info, because it really comes down to your personal journey and just discovering your own preferences and just like all the different sounds out there in the world. And I know some people really like to wait for a steeper sale, or maybe they missed a big one and want to wait, you know, for it to come again. But unless the difference is like $100 plus or like 30%, 50% off, it's usually not worth the wait. For example, if it's like $20 off from $260, like the Cinco Tres, and you missed the original sale and now you're waiting because you want the sale, right? At that point, I would just buy it retail, because the time and enjoyment you miss waiting for it to go on sale when you could have been, you know, enjoying it and jamming out easily outweighs the $20, $40, $50 you save, aka wasted opportunity cost in actually enjoying the IEM. Since most people are here for the music, so waiting another few months to save less than $50 defeats the purpose and goes against why you wanted to buy a better earphone in the first place, which is to enjoy the music. But you can't, because you're wasting time waiting around when you could be jamming out. Now, I understand if you're tight on a budget, then, you know, maybe it's justified to wait. But if you're at the point of like scraping by to get an IEM, then just buy a slightly cheaper one. You know, I promise you the difference isn't huge going down one or half a letter grade. Just enjoy the music and don't stress out about it and dig yourself even deeper into this hole. As for the collectors and big money boys watching, you guys can do whatever you want, but just make sure you know what type of sound you're getting yourself into and you're not getting scammed before dropping, you know, car money on something. And lastly, I would recommend buying used if you want to try like a lot of different sounds, because it saves you a lot of money and because the diminishing returns on the bigger boys are astronomical. For many people, it just doesn't make sense to buy a new just to scratch that itch. I can understand if the set is your end game and you're like dead set on this, you know, I'm gonna listen to this forever or whatever, then sure. But if you're just trying things out, you know, even with cheaper sets, buying used is great in saving money and bringing more value into like this whole hobby. But Jay, there's so many scammers on the internet. I get it. If you're unlucky, you might run into a few sketchy people on there, but personally, for the vast majority of the time, my experience at least have been overwhelmingly positive. I've personally never been scammed before, and I plan not to get scammed, but just make sure you're doing the transaction through PayPal Business in case something happens, so that you can still, you know, get your refund, get your money back. And make sure you check the seller's overall reputation and feedback from like other buyers before you just like hand them money, right? If the deal is too good to be true, often the times, you know, they're asking to do it through friends and family as well, then it's most likely a scam and you should probably avoid it. Just use your brain, use your judgment. You won't get scammed most of the time. But aside from that, that's all the advice I can really think of right now. I probably missed some, so feel free to drop your tips in the comments or, you know, your audio journey so far. I would love to hear it. Aside from that, hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Shout out to Jeff Young, RawX Cat, Dom Q, Gatamino Baldo, Star Buccaneers, Joel Pink, Wipe Your Buttocks, Discal Scaldus, B_Urac, Mystic Spoon Attack, Cyborg, Oh Really, and Walker Standard. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are the GOAT.